every day, but I'm even more excited today. Reason being, no technical issues, the internet's working fine. You don't know how good you got it till you don't got it and you get it back. So with that said, this is Hour of Empower, LinkedIn Live. The word of the day is plan. I'm so honored and pleased to have Leslie Nidick with us and Melissa Cohen, who have been here multiple times and bring a really fresh outlook and perspective to really, taking even a simple word like plan and building on it. And all of a sudden, plan became the foundation for this building we're going to build over the next hour. So, with that said, comments are essential for us being as relevant and helpful as we can to everybody's needs, questions. And hey, if you got a great uh, triumph, we'd love to hear that. But also start thinking about what plan means to you and share that with the audience and share it with us. And it'll really, catch a wave here. With that, chat's open. We've got Sarah here. Kinga was just tremendous yesterday. She's just a rising star. Can't wait to have her back. Scott's here. Scott's just a great guy. Had a chance to connect with him. Renadab's here. Great to have you. Comes almost every day. And with that, Leslie Flowers is here, and she's going to be here 2 days in a row. Tomorrow with me and maybe someone else, and then Monday with Catherine Chadwick, which should be just a great compliment and contrast to each other in the best of ways. So thank you, Leslie. Leslie's got her Think and Grow Rich on Friday. She's got another show on Mondays. I don't know how she gets all the energy. Must be all those special walnut brownies she keeps baking together. Ashif is here from Canada. Thank you, Ashif. And getting back to wonderful to join the conversation today. Well, salutations all around. With that, Leslie, why don't you just share a little update with yourself and what your initial thoughts on plan is?
Great. And good morning, Stephen. Great to see you. So first, I'm Leslie Nidick. I the short version is I guide individuals and teams to get unstuck from conflict. And it's really about shifting communication, which is kind of a underlying theme of most of our shows. For those who don't know, I genuinely enjoy sharing my like bite-sized tips. So like check them out on LinkedIn, YouTube. I have a blog, whatever way you want to receive them, there's an option for you. So I'm thrilled to be here again with Don. Thank you for this opportunity and to see Melissa again. So plan. I used to plan everything, like every little detail. I had to foresee it, figure it out, know how I was going to react to it. And there was then I learned an important factor, and it was in my earlier career, which was in design and construction and facilities management, which, as you can imagine, like every day was different because I never really knew what was going to happen that day. So I had to learn to be very comfortable with not planning, which was more in my nature. So those were my two rules. I did always have to have plans because, like design and construction, you can't go forward without a plan. You can't get the permits. So that was required. But two, the second rule was I had a plan to expect the unexpected. And that was a big piece because let me tell you, like stuff happens, whether it's on a construction site, whether it was just, managing office space, there was always something new happening. And if I was always anticipating, it was hard to like shift. So I learned agility just by, it was a requirement. So that was a big piece, like plans and the unexpected and how to mix that and harmonize it.
Sounds like it was fun and mysterious at the same time. So, with that said, Melissa, what's your first take of plan and maybe share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Cohen. It's really nice to see everyone and really appreciate you all spending time with me and Don and Leslie, who are both two of my very favorite people. I'm really honored to be here. A little bit about me. I am a consultant in the fashion industry. I started my own consulting business during the pandemic. And that's been a really fun, mysterious, and educational experience, to put it mildly. And then I just have a real passion and love for LinkedIn and for connecting with people, building community, and helping people to really sort of just recognize everything that you can do here on LinkedIn. Plan. So I really like to speak in expressions sometimes, like, kind of catchphrases that people all know. We all heard them growing up, they kind of resonate for a reason. So the first thing that popped into my mind was, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? And that kind of is always something that has resonated with me. We have to plan, whether it's our personal lives, our financial lives, our business lives. You have to have a plan. You can't accomplish what you want to accomplish if you don't know what that is. So that's the first one that really speaks to me. And then the other one is man plans and God laughs, right? Because we can have the best plans in the world and something will go awry. Something will take us off course. Something unexpected is going to happen. And so sort of what Leslie was speaking to, we have to be flexible. We have to be able to pivot. We have to have a backup plan. We can't just be so rigid and so stuck on, no, this is the plan, this is what I have to do, because it's never a linear path, right? Something always takes us a little bit in another direction. And sometimes that can be the best thing that ever happened to us, right? Like, my plan was that I was going to work in corporate forever. I worked my way up the corporate ladder from, an entry-level assistant to a VP. I was going to always be in corporate. That was my plan. I was going to get even to the SVP level next, right? And then COVID happened and the industry I worked in completely went haywire. So I had to have a different plan, and it's all worked out. And I think that's really important.
Well, that's so insightful and such a great share from both Leslie and Melissa. And I've always been a planner. I love to plan, but I find planning to be a joy instead of an effort. And it's always in my head first, right? The plan starts taking shape and, pieces start matching up or coming together. And it's like a jigsaw puzzle, and eventually, just like a jigsaw puzzle, it takes so long to get the outside, but the inside starts filling itself up as you get closer to the center. And what I see about planning that's really changed is the time people would allot for plans. When I started in businesses, what's your 3 to 5 year plan? A 3-year plan is, I'll be in 7 different things in the next 3 years. And how could I ever anticipate that? So now it comes down to, what am I going to do today? What am I going to do with this show today? How am I going to plan how I'm going to wear what I'm going to wear, or eat what I'm going to eat today? And everything has a plan. Sometimes it's the default plan is whatever's in front of you, whatever potluck is given to you. And some people's careers are based on, my uncle had a plumbing company. I got out of school, I got a job, and I'm here 40 years later, right? It was never my plan, but that's how it worked out. So what I love about planning is knowledge of having a plan with pivots to it, right? Hey, I'm going to go this direction, but if a nice street opens up over there, or someone comes in with an offer, I'm open to changing my plan. So it's, how fast can you change? How fast do you want to change? Because you're off course or not getting there as fast as you can, or your plan just isn't working the way you thought. And that's, they have a saying, when you find yourself in a hole, stop digging, right? And that's the same thing with plans, and being kind to yourself, and looking at everything as learning and earning, not losing and winning. Because if you don't know what it is, like, what was it? Edison said he had 1,000 ways of not inventing a light bulb. Before I get too deep into history, let's recognize the people here again. Susanna, so grateful to have you here. Wonderful connection and individual who really brings a lot of support to a lot of people. So Thank you very much. We've got Amrutha. I really haven't seen you, but I'm so happy to have you here. Rita's who is our Wednesday Rita.
Hi, Rita.
Flexibility and ability to pause, back up, or start over makes sense. Dennis, our poet laureate, says backup plan. Glad the Cohens are back on my listening and learning plan. Well, thank you, Dennis. You know, one thing I love about the show is everybody's so kind, thoughtful, and it gets returned to them. And for some reason, people get allergic to all this kindness who are used to all the meanness, just like we get allergic to their meanness, when there could be, a safe space where we can really have a little fun, but motivate each other to do a lot more than we have been doing and we know we're capable of doing. So with that, Leslie, plan.
So anytime that I meet with college students or even high school students, they always want to know, like, how did you plan your career? And I'm careful because I don't want to scare them. Like, well, all those plans usually fell apart. Like, if I stuck with the plan, I probably would be unhappy. And I really talk to them about, hey, listen, you just have to keep your eyes open because there's going to be left turns, right turns, and twists. Some of them you want to take an opportunity of, and some you don't. So, like, a plan is good. It's just like I have a plan of how I'm going to drive somewhere, but things happen and I'm going to take a turn or try to get on my phone to figure out a better way to get there. And I remember when I was feeling it, like, in my career, because it was pretty set. I ended up with this major in design and facilities management. So what did I do? I got hired in design and facilities management and expanded that to construction and real estate. And then there was a point where I knew I had to make a change, that it wasn't just, I was reaching the limits of what I could do in the corporate environment. So I had to figure out, well, now what's the new plan? And it just took, figuring out, like, what I liked doing, what I was good at, and where could I do that? And I still didn't know. So my plan was just try other things and just see where it goes. And then, but you plan certain things. Like, someone said, I don't understand how you could just be an entrepreneur. Like, you must be desperate to make money. I go, oh no, there was a plan for that part. And I did. Like, Melissa mentioned financial. I had a financial plan. I followed some of those rules. I heard my parents say, like, hey, you always have to plan if there's ever a layoff or something happens where you can't work. There were numbers like save 6 months or whatever. Well, I went even more than that. I was like, I'm going to feel really comfortable being an entrepreneur if I have like 3 years worth of money just in an account that I'm going to pay myself. So I think there's always this mix of planning and uncertainty and not knowing where the turns are going to be. And I find that fun. Planning keeps you in the box.
Well,
just knowing there's other turns keeps it exciting.
Well, and planning should be a continuous process and review of your plan, and part of a plan is having a goal and tracking to it. Right? What was your time frame? What were your expectations? Are you meeting them? And at the end of the day, are you happy with what the plan is doing for you while you're doing the plan? Because I can tell you, people say, well, I would never do that no matter how much money you gave me. Right? But how many people walk away from so much money that they have or could have because one day it just doesn't work? I can't go in there anymore. I can't, if it's betrayal or if it's something like that, then the whole dynamic changes. And you got to ask yourself, is this worth my life, my happiness, right? And at a certain point, if you're capable of as much or more, why not put it in the best environment, culture? And I think planning includes other people. Doing something all by yourself, with yourself, how does that scale? right? And then how good of a judge are you of what you're doing when someone else could be with you to say, hey, I got an idea, or I think we need to moderate this. And, that's what shows like this do is open up knowledge share, support, collaboration, where someone can lean into this and get polished pretty well, or with the comments, throw it out there, or conversations after the show. That's where the real value is. Who are you networking with? Who are you connecting with? Because I can guarantee you, no one on the side panel wouldn't take a call from a respectful offer that someone they've seen and known on a show like this or the Hounds or wherever. So it's not like I don't know people or people don't want to talk to me. The question becomes, what's your plan in making you a value added benefit to them? What's in it for them, right? And if you've got something, great. If you don't, that's where you need to start working on your plan, is how do you engage people to help you with your plan, right? If you're talking construction, you need financing, you need a bank, you need insurance. I mean, you need all these partners to guarantee the safety and the security of the investment or the people involved. So it gets bigger, but you got to start with yourself. And, my plans never, Mike Tyson once said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, and then your plan just goes away. And someone also says, which was a very fine CFO I had, just really a visionary. He said, how do you plan for the worst? You don't. So don't deal with it, right? When a bus hits you, what's your next step? What difference does it make? And most of the time the bus is never going to hit me anyways. I don't get in front of too many buses, but I think that's where people have to ask themselves, what is the plan? Share the plan. I love consensus. Nobody likes surprises. If you knew and you're with people, you got to share it when that happens, especially if they're going to know you knew it and you didn't bring it up when everybody could have heard it, right? And I think the ultimate plan is to have integrity as its main component, authenticity. I mean, if it's you and you, why would you embellish something? Why would you project something that's not realistic? So anyways, I think it shows a lot of planning elements that can take place. I'll go back to the audience. We talked, Susanna's here. Melissa, Nicole just, is here to root you on. Kinga, strategic plan. I think we covered that. I'm going to go for the meatier ones. Here's Stephen. Planning and adaptability are heads and tails. What I plan needed, but also make sure I have secondary and tertiary options. They say when plan B doesn't work, you got 24 more letters, so, move to plan C and just keep going. Ashif says good leaders proactively plan for all possibilities and opportunities with. Well, that's why staying in touch, being on the same wavelength, when things are happening, you want everybody else to know what's happening, right? So they can get involved or they can put their heads together. I think that's essential. Leslie Flowers says plan a few steps to start and be ready for contribution. Well, if you have a one-day plan that lends itself to the second day, you only need a one-day plan. Everyone has it. Oh yeah, we're both thinking on the same wavelength. Okay, Stephen's happy to see everybody. Susanna. Okay, here's Linda. Linda says, feel growing up with animals on farm and machines' ability to make changes. Plans altered often. So helps as this world changed plans. Just need to accomplish things we have control of and learn not to beat yourself up because your plan isn't working. So true, Linda. And, that's the benefit of experience and wisdom. Rita says flexibility and ability to pause, back up, or start over makes sense. Everybody's got a neutral and a reverse gear, and everybody should know when they need to apply them. Dennis says backup plan. Okay, great. I think we covered that one, but Dennis comes back with sticking up your plan keeps life simpler. Don, you know what hat to wear over your light bulb smart hat. Thank you. It's nice to be aware
I love that.
and observant, because that's what plans are made of, is your sensitivity to nuances, to different facets and insights, and then being able to leverage a niches as riches approach. Anticipating a plan when health or death can leave choices out of control, but find ways to help change mindset for what we can do. Help allow your mind to find motivation and focus and things to rebuild with music and nature. And remember well, that's so true, because all you can do is all you can do, and that's all you should have to do. Right. And, no matter what the worst circumstances, everybody just needs to move back to breathing. If you can just say, hey, I can't even deal with this, and it's okay to put things on pause. I've been faced with disappointments and defeats and failures. And I said to myself, this is going to take a long time to get over. Don't rush it. It can wait. It will get back to it, because if not now, how long? Everything is what it is. And it's whatever you add to it for as long as you want to. If the glass broke, it ain't coming back. Now you can think about whose it was, what the cost was, why. It's done. What's done is done. Okay, we talked about that. We got so many today. Anjan's here, just going to recognize his name. Thank you so much for coming. Stephen comes back with planning is multi-layered. I've learned to think about not only the plan itself, but also having the willingness to try new things and be okay with calling a timeout. If something isn't panning out, the after time are plays to get her unstuck. Well, I do that. I'm either working or walking, but I'm not sitting around thinking or anything else, because, 30, 40 minutes out in the fresh air, especially if you got a really beautiful park and nature and water around you. It's like, why not? And you come back after about 20 minutes into the walk, and now your mind's clearing. Now you're getting a little bit more positive. And sometimes I would walk until I got tired of walking if I didn't get it right. I love that Leslie's plan was to leave yourself open for opportunities. Scott says, I never want things to just happen to me. Having a plan enables me to make it happen. That is so profound, because it's either the wave is coming, whether you're there or ready or not. You see little kids and they get pulled over by the waves, and then they get stronger and they hold up to the waves, and they get older and they get pushed over by the waves. The waves don't care who you are and what you are. They're going to keep coming. How do you respond to them is really the key focus. And John says an intensive plan, periodic analysis to change courses when need be. You know what? You can change today and come back to tomorrow, yesterday, or yesterday back to tomorrow. As long as you're not burning any bridges, as long as you're not doing anything that's permanent, and that is a timeout, that's a readjustment. It's like, hey, and I think honesty, if someone says, hey, I'm going through this, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what to do next, and they find just friends who at least calm everything down, but also give them credit for what they are doing or have been doing in their situation. It's the lonely planning. It's the loop in your head that keeps showing up on paper that you say, I can't do this yet, or I need more. And that's probably true. Now the question is, how fast do you get it? Right? If you're out of food, you say, how fast can I get to the grocery store? Leslie says, the people that you work the plan with evoke the magic of mastermind. And Leslie's a mastermind on masterminds with her Think and Grow Rich passion. So thank you for that, Leslie. Agree, less bussing and less fussing. Okay, here we go with, I'm glad everybody's taken time to really type these things out. It takes some time and thought. Okay, we've got Paul here, who's always glad to help everybody and support everybody. Susanna says, the plan begins with the first step. From there, be sure to see the open doors and optional paths that are better than charging straight ahead when they may not be as good a direction as originally thought. That's very valuable, because you also have to think of who else is getting affected by your plan, right? If you're going right to the top, is someone getting pushed over the side? Is someone getting left behind? So why not think of the whole plan? Because everything you would do, you want to scale or duplicate. And anything that compounds both ways. So that's important. We could have a show where people share their plans, for sure. And that's what this is going to, is I'm looking to build a network. Everybody here has shows in their mind. Everybody would like to appear in something or create something or develop something. So why not add artistic to what we're doing? Why not, like to Melissa's point, make this fashionable? Why not make it, out there? They say if you're not working on the edge, you're taking up too much room, and that's where the fun is, until you've actually challenged yourself, until you jumped off a cliff and knew you had to grow wings before you hit the ground. Does life become energizing, and I'm not saying dangerous, but if you just talk fashion, if you just talk art, the people who create some things are just outlandish, right? But they're not dangerous. They may be whatever. But I mean, why not be a little bit more spicy, right? Why not take that extra step that you never wanted to take? And I think it's so important, that one step at a time approach that was discussed. Renabit says, planning is absolutely essential for all of us to complete the desired work during the whole day. Proper planning will provide better results. And when you check off all your things that day on your plan, you feel proud you got something to show for it, right? Because a plan will tell you where you are, just like a speedometer. Nicole says, when you find your vibe tribe, as I have here, the sky's the limit. Well, the sky's the limit inside of you to begin with. How do you unleash that? Everybody has greatness within them. Walk and circulate, improve your blood flow to your brain to meet your neighbors and friends will improve your talk. For sure, Dennis. Now we're finally caught up. Leslie, where are we going from here? Or Melissa?
I think I'm gonna point the correct way. I think I'm gonna point at my friend Melissa.
Okay, sorry, I'm trying to keep an order.
So my head was going in 100 different directions because there was so much value in what everybody is saying in the comments, and then obviously Don and what you're saying, and then what Leslie said. So I really feel like there are 10 different things I can say, but one thing that really caught my eye, because I was thinking about it as well, I think Ashif was talking about planning and leadership. And I think that's really important, because I think we also have to think about the plans that we have for our teams or for the people that we are guiding, right? Like I work with different teams now, and part of what I do is, how can I make them the most effective? How can I make them the most efficient? And how can I also help to facilitate their growth? And what do people want, right? Not everybody wants the same thing. And that was a really interesting lesson for me as a leader, is that not everybody wants to run the company. Not everybody wants to be, at a high level and managing teams. I had somebody who worked for me who was great. She was very good at what she did. I could count on her. She was very effective. She was very efficient. And she said to me, this is what I want to do. I don't want to get to the next level. It's not important to me. I don't want to manage a big team of people. And that was really eye-opening for me, right? Because we always think that, people want to get to the next level. They want to get that title. They want bigger and better things. Not everybody does. Some people are super happy just doing what they're doing. But then other people are, very ambitious, and they have huge goals for themselves. And sometimes it's really taking those people and saying, I see your potential, but you have to slow down. You can't go from 0 to 60 in 10 seconds. You have to build the skills. You have to build the rapport with people. You have to do X, Y, and Z to get to that next level. So I think it's really important that we also think about plans for the people that work for us or who we can influence. Maybe it's in a mentorship role. I've mentored people along the course of my career, and honestly, I've learned as much from them as I think they've learned from me. It's very much a two-way street. So just really helping other people make their plans and see how they can grow, how they can learn new things, and what they can accomplish.
So wonderfully spoken. And with that, Leslie?
Well, before Melissa started talking, I was going to share an experience, but now I'm changing that, because I want to respond to her about that a leader has to also help the team, like, develop their plans. and their plans could be very different than what you think their plans should be. I had a client manager of a fairly large team and was in constant conflict with them, and he couldn't figure out why. And it actually, when I spent some time with them and heard some of the questions and heard some of the planning he was doing for each of them, because he saw a very clear path. It was like an IT department. You start, on the tech service side, then you start like you're in the call center, then you get up to management, then you go further into management, planning systems, etc. He's just like, that's how everyone before me did it, and that's how everyone after me is going to do it. And then it turns out that he had quite a few people on his team who just aspired, like, I just want to be in the call center. I enjoy all these different conversations every day. I have no idea who I'm talking to. And in fact, it's fun. And one of them described it as, he goes, I can't tell you how many people call, and the answer is, did you plug in whatever the tech item is? He goes, I just like spend my day going, how many people are going to call me today where that's going to solve their problem? And he's like, it's fun. I like coming to work. I don't want to do what that guy does. But their conflict was his assumption of what their plans were versus actually asking the question, hey, what do you aspire to? What is your 1-year plan, your 6-month plan? And they did have very specific plans. It just wasn't his plans. So that's important too, to really listen to people and know that your plans are not their plans.
So, great point. And I believe, being in conflict resolution or any resolution usually ends hopefully with a collaborative plan, right? I mean, I used to deal with creditor committees when I was doing turnarounds and restructurings, and be like, well, we got to come up with a plan here. Here's the two alternatives I've identified. And the reason we're talking is to get feedback and consensus. But for the company to survive or get financing or deal with shareholders, we need to come up with an accommodation and one that works for everybody, right? And if you start with the better interest of everybody, because every time I went into the meeting is like, well, what are you giving up? When you say, hey, I need you to give up 40% of the debt or whatever, it's like, okay, and in return, what are you going to do? What's the shareholders going to do? And that's why it makes so much sense to have a plan. I mean, when I was dealing with HR issues, okay, we have an issue here. What's the plan? What are we going to agree to in the future? Okay, someone was ignorant, someone made a mistake. Okay, but we can't have those things going on. So now we need to write something down, and anything written, whether it's a plan or an agreement, has more power because now both people have a copy and there's accountability built in, because 3 months later you can say, hey, you're doing so great since we developed this plan. We're going to give you a promotion, right? So the plan is not punitive. It's instructive. It's directive. It can be punitive, but anything can if you choose it to be. And I think a plan that someone comes home with and says, hey, we're going to be able to pay our debt now, right? I talked to the credit card people. They're going to give us 90 days free, no interest, whatever it is. I got a plan. I don't have to worry about it. When you buy insurance, that's a plan, right? You hope you never have to use it, but when it comes up, you're glad you got it. So I think planning is essential to coming together with other people the right way. And it also comes down to lack of misunderstanding and confusion, right? Now we got a plan. Do we all agree? Do we understand? Are we into it? And if not, let's make an adjustment. But I think you want stability. If you're fighting a fire there, you don't want to have to think of another fire that's going to take place there. So with that, Paul has a comment. It's interesting, though. I feel like the greatest moments of life weren't planned. There's something to be said about planning in real time and adapting as life changes. Whatever works for you. If you're comfortable riding down the road, not knowing where you're going, and you're having a happy old time, then keep doing it. Your plan shouldn't be someone else's, and someone else's plan shouldn't be yours. And if you're not happy, then change your plan. And include more people, more resources, whatever it takes. You want to go into a trip with a full tank of gas and well provisioned, right? You don't want to stop every 10 minutes for gas. You don't want to think about where are we going. Nicole says when you find, okay, we talked about that. Sometimes, and Jen says, all planning goes kaput, extreme, whatever. Hence have plan, don't get blown away. I love your abbreviating. Yeah, for sure. It's going to happen. We're not talking about, a comet or something coming down. It's going to happen like every time you do something. You go to a restaurant, I didn't plan for this thing to take so long. I didn't, all this, my plan was to get in and out of here, blah, blah, blah. Leslie Flowers, the nuggets from the audience today are incredible. Well, you're encouraging. I think people see Leslie and look at her as the sage of all these different philosophies and strategies, and she's very generous in sharing. Start with the end in mind, then work your way back. This will make the plan very clear. And I think Leslie does say, as you move towards something, it moves towards you, and you end up meeting halfway. So whatever you're moving towards or attracting is being attracted to you, just even subconsciously or not very overtly. And new person, so happy to have you today. Taking an individual approach is great leadership, Melissa Cohen. Nicole, thank you for that compliment, Ann. I think everyone's goal is a big goal to them. We all move at different speeds. The important thing is we move at ours and we respect that others move at theirs. And every day is a reset. Every day is a new start if you want it to be, right? And you got to always go back to where you started, because people always think of where they're not there yet, but they don't know how much road they've traveled, how much they've learned, how many people they've met. It's the intangibles that make it valuable until the tangibles show up. If you can get around competent, hopeful, supportive people, well, that's a victory in itself. Ann Bambola is here. So great to see you. A continuous learner, wonderful individual. Had a great call. Getting to know Nigeria more every day. So thank you so much, Ann Bambola. Stephen says, getting to know your staff and what they want is essential before you can propose a plan for their development. They may see different directions and milestones than you see, Melissa Cohen. And Stephen, I've invited, has got an open invitation to appear anytime. You're available. Leslie says, I've encouraged Leslie, so this will be the way it's going to go for the rest of the show. A friend changed her business focus. No one knew her in this way. Her goal was 10 clients. Stop. 10 clients before being known? Question mark. Paul says, I'm curious for Pam, do you believe planning and accountability have a major correlation? I would assume. I think that's definitely a necessary thing. Keep your plan quiet to start. Others may inadvertently stop you with their views. Another thing is, once you're in, you should be all in. Right? You can't have a plan, go forward and think, is this the right plan? Because now you're back to planning and not doing the plan. Super contribution, everyone. I love when everybody's applauding each other. Catherine's here. Catherine's coming back Monday. So great to see you. Hello. Always good to have a plan and be open to new information along the way too. And great point, Leslie Nidek. Your plan is not necessarily their plan. It'd be too many plans. And all you can control is yourself anyways, what you do and how you do it. I do the opposite. I share my goals publicly to hold me accountable. I have many legends that pay attention to everything I do. And if I don't be my word to myself, then why would anyone else? So true. I can't disagree at all with that. Ann says, fantastic point, Leslie Nidek. Assumptions of other people's goals can create unintended conflict. A co-created model for planning works best. And that then brings into competition. Is your plan based on someone else doing something? Well, they just bought a new house. I've got to get a new house now. Or they just bought a new car and it's nicer than mine, or whatever it is that, I guess a plan you'd have to look at is, am I very superficial and egotistical and self-oriented? Or am I looking to be part of something bigger than myself, earn a spot on the team, and learn how to be better for the experience, not just wealthier? Dennis says, agree, don't assume. Sparks the old saying, make an ass out of you and me. Dennis has it all. Plan B, always a good idea. Maybe C. Thank you, Rita. Rita then comes back with that saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. Alice in Wonderland. You know, it brings back so many memories. What Melissa, Leslie, and I are doing is really food for thought for so many people. You know, that gets them back to where, yeah, I'm getting back to what I was thinking about my plan today. And planning, and your plan will take top of mind awareness for a while from this reinforcement that's continually happening. I'm planning to let Melissa buy me a latte. Not quite sure how I'll pull it off though. Well, you put it out there to the universe, so now it's in play. My point of view, Dr. Leslie Fausben, if someone can take my goal or purpose, then it wasn't mine. The doubt and skepticism for me is fuel. Here we go with, okay, I mean, I'm trying to cover these. Okay, we covered that. I'll go back to, okay, I think we're pretty caught up. So with that said, who's next? Leslie?
I can't,
Melissa.
no,
Yeah,
this way. Melissa.
Don doesn't love me today. He's showing Leslie all the love.
I don't know why.
I'm kidding.
I
I just saw Leslie's face. She's like, no, not me again.
That's why I didn't even say something. I was hoping someone would take it.
So first of all, Scott, FYI, you can text somebody a Starbucks gift card. So
Yeah.
you never know what might come your way.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to go back to Paul's question in the comment, right? He was asking about, is accountability tied to plan? And I mean, I think that's a really important concept, right? Because you can have the best plan in the world. It can be the plan that is going to make you so successful, accomplish the biggest goal. But if you don't hold yourself accountable to it, it's very likely not going to happen, right? So what I try to do and what I try to encourage other people to do is, if you have a plan, set goals around that plan, set milestones, check-in points. Okay, in 1 year, this is my goal. Okay, great. What's your goal for a month from now, 4 months from now, 6 months from now? And I'll actually go so far as to say, put a calendar invite on for yourself and check in with yourself. And where am I against this goal? How am I doing? How am I tracking against my plan? Am I on track? Great. Am I not on track? What do I have to do to get back on? And if I'm really not on track, do I need to sort of reevaluate the plan and the timing and give myself more time or adjust the plan a little bit? But if you just put that plan out there and then you never really think about it again, or you never hold yourself accountable to any of those milestones, you're probably not going to achieve it, or it's going to take a heck of a lot longer than it needs to. So I thought that was a really good question.
I think it was a great answer. So, Leslie, I think it's your turn.
Well, first,
I'm
these
guessing.
comments are amazing. I love seeing everyone. There's Nicole, Susanna, Catherine is here, Scott, Anne. Thank you for being here, and everyone who's here. I'm definitely going to be in the comments after this event, so I can't wait because there's too much to read right now. I think I still want to use this example of how agility or flexibility has to be part of the plan. And I'm going to recall that I teach a course in conflict management at New York University, and apparently every year I'm supposed to be observed and evaluated, and I've been there for over 15 years. I've had one, but it was very impactful. And it turns out I was forced to do it during those first few months of the pandemic. So it was all online. I'm like, so now you're going to evaluate me after 15 years on Zoom, which I had never used before. And of course, something goes wrong when the observer was there. And the best part that she taught me was that she had no idea that something went wrong. She thought I planned this whole thing where we were talking about body language, and then my camera the screen went black. So I couldn't see anyone's body language. And I actually told the students, like, well, I can't see your body language. So now you have to describe some things to me. And this went on as part of this 15-minute exercise. So a week later, when I was getting my evaluation, the observer was like, wow, that was a fantastic exercise. How'd you come up with that? I go, I didn't. It happened. She's like, what do you mean? I go, my screen went blank and I didn't want to interrupt the class. So I just figured I'm just going to go with it. And it just reminded me things happen, plan for it. You don't know what they are, but don't let it be. It used to be an obstacle for me. Like, wow, my plan didn't go according to my plan. And then I'd stop. Now it's like, no, I'm still going to go. I don't know where I'm going. I'm just going to go and keep going. And I think that's important because things really do happen. And that's one thing I've seen on teams or clients that I've worked with, that why they get stuck is because it didn't go according to their plan. Okay, but they never put flexibility in there. The unknown, being uncomfortable with a surprise. It's going to happen at some point, and we have to exercise that like flexibility and agility and just making a turn or telling people, wow, something really went wrong here. Can anyone help me?
Uh, you know, uh, uh, Reflection, reevaluation, or evaluation are so essential. But as you get older, you see your plans sometimes coming full circle that you didn't realize when something or somebody left you. They're really on their way back. It's just when and how. I'll give you an example. I was in Costco yesterday, and when I retired from my businesses about 7 years ago, I really didn't stay in that much touch with anybody there. And I met a gentleman there who was with me for 23 years, haven't seen him in 7 years or talked to him. And we kind of reunited for about 15, 20 minutes. And it was just so great to see a plan that was established and knowing how well he's done since he left, and how he thanked me for all the things that he was able to learn and train for, that he's now getting benefit. So a lot of times it's perseverance, it's patience, and it's belief in your plan. And I think, to Melissa's point, and Leslie's, your prior plan success or failures will also have an impact on your future plans, right? If you design something and create something and produce something and get all this reward, whatever it is you're looking for, you're more excited for the next plan, right? This model was a hit. I can't wait now that I know what I know, to do it again. And that's why these superstars that have one bad movie, it's the end of the world for them, because they've been riding on such a magic carpet ride. And it's the people who have achieved the most that suffer the most when their plans don't work out, right?
Mhm.
If you're just saying, well, I wanted to buy eggs today, I forgot. Well, tomorrow's plan, I know I'm going to get my eggs, right? It's what is replaceable easily that you're more liberal with in a plan, right? We got plenty of this, so experiment with it, try it out, give it away. It doesn't matter. Versus, hey, this is precious, this is very valuable. We have to be careful, But I think the main reason a plan can work is you got to get out of your own way when you open that door towards it. With self-doubt, with indecision. When you start second guessing yourself, you might as well stop guessing. You're already where you don't want to be. So with that, let me reach some other people. The screen went blank. Okay. Kinga says, I plan to join you and Leslie Flowers tomorrow. Thank you very much. You're right. Kinga's going to be here tomorrow. That just happened on the screen. I did share Kinga a few dates, and I think that's going to be a great combo. I think Leslie Flowers really brings a lot to whoever she's with. And a lot of your plan is your personality. It isn't always, I need a bunch of money, I need a bunch of support. I just need to have some imagination, some creativity, It's like how much hot sauce do you put on your food? And that's the same thing with your plan. How exciting do I want to appear? How exciting do I need to appear in my plan? Because they always say everybody hears your music way before your words, right? So if you're coming into something bouncing up and down and excited, enthusiastic, and laughing and screaming, everybody around you is going to pick up that vibe. And for a plan to really succeed, you need to build consensus and support and have a plan with everybody. So you got a plan with yourself, and then maybe it's a hub that goes out to spokes, because even in restructuring, you had to have a plan for investors, for employees, for real estate, for all of these things. And I think that's what's so important, is having a foundational plan that is something you can't quit, that you can't walk away from. You can make adjustments, but if you say, I'm committed to get into medical school, whatever it takes, if I got to work 2 jobs, and there's a saying, if your why's big enough, you'll figure out the how to, right? And I think you have to have a big enough why. It's your life. Why wouldn't you put yourself in the biggest umbrella or under that umbrella and work as hard as you can for yourself? Because there are people who make it. There's one more saying is, you come into the world with nothing, the worst you can do is break even, right? So anyways, with that, I won't make a mistake this time. It is definitely Melissa.
Awesome. Something that you said really resonated with me, Don, and maybe it's a little off the original topic, but not really. You brought up getting out of our own way, right? And getting out of our own heads. And that's something I talk about a lot, because it's really something that I struggled with for a long time. And I think so many people do. I always thought women struggled with it more than men, but I'm actually not sure that's true anymore. I think I just know more women and talk with more women. But everybody has self-doubt. And some of the most successful, incredibly powerful people that I know have moments where they're plagued with self-doubt. And it's really recognizing that, and recognizing that everybody has those moments and those feelings, and that they're not factual, right? We all have that inner voice in our head for whatever reason that says, you're not good enough to do this. You can't do this. Nobody's going to care what you have to say. It's not true. People do care what you have to say. And we can only achieve our goals, meet our plans, get ahead in life when we allow ourselves to do so. And truly the way to do that is we're our own worst enemy sometimes. And just getting past that and really realizing that you are all good enough for whatever it is that you're trying to do. In fact, you're more than good enough. So the first step is always the hardest, and just like, not to sound like Nike, but just do it.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the best 3-word slogans or logos you could have, because it is up to you, and you can do it right now. Everything you do gets you closer or further from your goal, and that's what your plan is about. And with that, I want to recognize Raquel. She's just great, and she does so much for so many people, and quality individual and connection, and really another example of people who are involved with the Hounds, are people who are searching for knowledge, searching for a plan, searching to get better, and searching with people who are searching with them and for themselves, because we're all in this in one way or another together, because we're here together. But we can also benefit from each other's food for thought. And a lot of times you get 40 rooting fans, you just got to get up and move. You got to get off your chair when everybody else is screaming and shouting and bouncing around. And why not? How excited can you get legitimately, authentically? And how many times can you find reasons to celebrate yourself, to compensate for the things that get you knocked down, or the surprises that you didn't expect? But what it is what it is, and everything sorts if you challenge it. If you want to know what you got, to ask a question, right? And see who is who, what's what, and what people are really sincerely doing, because everybody is more into showing than telling. right? Everybody would rather see it than hear it or hear what's going to be. And I think that's where the plan comes in, is how do I stage something? How do I not give someone way too much or try to have a mystery when I can just ask questions, qualify as you go, and it's really testing. I mean, if you're in construction, they're always testing stability or measurements or whatever, along the way. And you should ask questions when you have questions. So I think it's the response of spontaneity that says, hey, this doesn't factor into my plan. Now, maybe it should, but I got to ask a question, right? I'm building with this material, and someone says, hey, there's a superior product that could give me more durability or lifespan or whatever. I got to figure, is that the way? Because it's not set and forget. It's set and get going, and then make decisions along the way as you see things. And it should be at least trusting, I think, to Melissa's point, your own judgment, your own experience, that when things get a little weird, you say stuff, I've been here before. I know how this is going to work out. I know how I can deal with it. And at the end of the day, anything you got to be able to say, it's okay. Whatever the plan was, and all plans seem to go astray somewhere. So with that, Leslie.
I think to even just further this whole thing with get out of our own way, because I think that is an issue with planning, that so many of us, we're the ones in the way, not other obstacles. And it's because of our mindset of how we look at something. And it is, I think even Scott wrote in a comment something about like start with the end and then create the plan. Like whatever you want to happen, like believe it's going to happen, even when you have no idea how you're going to get there. It seems impossible and it's not clear. And I have to tell you, that applies like every time I emphasize that when a group of people come in front of me going, we're in conflict and there is nothing that's going to resolve it. Like, well, you're here, and you obviously believe there is this tiny, tiny little chance. So let's get out of our own way here and let's work on it. Just believe it's going to happen, even though you have no idea. And that applies to my work on a daily basis. It's the only reason why I finished 2 New York City marathons. I am not an athlete. I am not a runner. And I still I don't know how I like crossed those finish lines other than that I just told my mind, like I had to finish and I had support along the way. I planned little things. I had lots of stuff with me to help. And in the end, I still look back and go, oh my God, especially the second one, 8th mile, I was done. And I had a friend who just said, I'm not going alone. I don't run by myself. So you have to come with me. And it was just determination because I knew what the end was like. And I'm just like, I have no idea how we're going to get there, but we're just going to get there. And it took a long time. Let's put it that way. Our finish time was not something we would advertise, but I still go back to that every time I'm like faced with something like, how am I going to do this? I'm like, you don't always have to know how. Just start, do the tiniest step forward and then figure out the next one. I don't have to figure them all out ahead of time. So that's sometimes my plan. I don't have a full plan. I just have a starting plan.
Well, and I think that really says a lot because it's all how ambitious your plan is, right? When my grandkids are playing whatever they're playing, soccer or basketball, I always start with, hey, the best thing is you're with other kids, you're outside, you're running around, you're having fun, you're meeting people. That should be as important as scoring a goal or not being as good as someone else. And to Leslie's point, just finishing something is an achievement. If you came in 8th place or 1st place, I mean, I look at sometimes I get inspired by runners. And actually there's one lady, a college runner, who just been amazing this whole year, breaking every record. And what's so amazing about her, she kind of runs in the middle, then get closer to the top. And for like every lap she's running really hard with the person next to her. And on the last lap, she finds this energy and she finishes a half a track ahead of everybody after this long, like marathon race. And you wonder, where does people get that kick? Where do they find that extra boost that just drives them forward? You know, and it's like, I'm not quitting. You know, there was a saying, how do you stop a person who won't quit? You can't, because they're going to keep going when everybody stops, when you gave up watching, and someone will say, hey, don't bother them. They're on their way. And, just like Forrest Gump when he was running, you had this mob behind him, didn't even know where they were going, why they're going, but because everybody's running and he's leading, it's an activity. And I think that's where setting goals, accomplishing goals, inspire people, but also distinguish and differentiate yourself as a player, as a winner, as a person that goes the distance. I've had so many times people say, give it up. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. And I said, I haven't seen the end of the tunnel yet, and I bought a ticket. I'm going to see the end of it. I put too much into this. And, there's a point of being stubborn and not accepting reality, which isn't good. But, it's you and yourself. That's where the game always begins and ends. You have to come home to yourself, no matter who you've been with that day, and be either happy or not. And that's where another plan can come in. So I want to cover some more. Here's Leslie. Dean, okay. We got a history lesson now. Hernan Cortez told the Spanish army arriving at the shores of it that they would defeat he burned all the boats. They had no choice but to win. That's so true. And sometimes you don't have a choice. Sometimes there is no reverse to it. There is no backup. And you just got to do the best you can. But, just being here has shown that whatever plans you've had have worked to get you here. Whatever you did to eat, whatever you did to sleep, whoever you've been with, whatever you've worked at, you're your brand new you every day that you wake up. There's no sense dragging legacy into the future, and there's no reason to bring future fear into the present, right? And that'll make a difference in your plan. I'd love to go there, but I'm afraid. I'd love to do this, but I don't have the money, and the doing and the reason don't really align too well because it's personal. You're dealing with what you have today relating to what you want tomorrow, and deciding because today isn't right, tomorrow can't come. And that's where help is necessary, or advice or support, because someone will say, I don't have money in my bank. And you could say, you got 2 other bank accounts you haven't checked, right? All your knowledge, all your relationships, let's bring some value here. So, we want to cover a couple more comments, have a closing thought from all of our honored guests. Is a name. Okay, I guess Anna is a career coach, and so grateful to have you. Always looking for new individuals who can bring more value to the whole group. Scott says it's crucial to evaluate how our plans come together and end. What worked, what didn't, lessons learned. Yeah, sure, because that's a great point, Scott. Because don't look in absolutes. Don't look at all or nothing, win or lose. You count like on this level, I won 4 points. On that level, I won 3. And judges, when they have competition like the Olympics, they all put up their numbers or whatever, right? And some things you score really high, and others, you need to work on it. But, one plan should say, okay, I accomplished 70%. Now the new plan, cover the other 40, add another 60. Keep layering on, keep leveling up, and be your own best friend. You have to be the person that says, listen, I don't care what everybody says. I did pretty good. I'm happy with myself. I'm going to go out and get an ice cream now, and that's how it's going to be today. And that's, people respect that, because everybody looks at you to say, how do you feel you did? Right. And the first person that mentions something is where the conversation is now moved. If you get your hair done and says, oh, that is stunning. That is so you. I love this. Everybody else will have to deal with that first compliment, as opposed to, oh, what did you do to yourself? How, oh my God, and it's like, geez, I want to put a hat on. So, I mean, it's really, why not get in front of the right audience? Why not go to Connecticut before you go to Broadway? You know what I mean? Why not try a show out before you go live? Glad I'm here with everyone. I'm rejuvenated. You all rock. I can't wait to hear about today's brownies. Beverly's here. Beverly's a rock star. Has been showing up every week, has got great knowledge and information for everybody, and more importantly, really shares her light with so many people. Really brightens things up. Catherine's here. Glad to be here. Glad to have you. Neha's here. I've been here a couple days. Great topic. Lovely discussion. It's all because of everybody. And that's the plan here. Is one person can't do it all, shouldn't have to do it all. It's not fun doing it all. I'd rather be one of 49 than one talking to 48, you know, because who needs all that attention, you know, and I'm not that much for that much. So Beverly says, yes, perfect, Leslie. All you can have to do is start. And that being said, I just started a show and it's ending, but at least I started. You know, that's something you can put a check next to.
I love that.
Is because a lot of what you do is because of what you can do for others, right? Your value is determined by the value you provide and how people want you and it. You know, they just don't want your product service. They want you in their life. They want someone to look forward to, somebody who will make them feel better for the time together, but more importantly, who can run with them and maybe help each other run faster for running together. And I think there's the hidden secret to things is don't just scrape the top when there's so much depth and richness below it. You know, and I would rather do more with less people than less with more people, you know, especially when it comes to collaboration and collective activity. I missed some episodes. I was reminded how much I love the show. I'm on, you know, I wouldn't be doing things I am on LinkedIn without the show. Always grateful. Spend time with Grandpa Don, my new adopted grandson. No, thank you, Paul, because, you know, that's part of it is give credit where credit's due, you know, and you know, authorship is not as important as really the continuation. I think it was Catherine that came on the show and mentioned something about rippling. Everything you do ripples, right? And can have continuous. I mean, people 80 years from now could be tuning into the show and everything we're talking about is universal, evergreen, and we'll get value that we would have never met, known, or who they were, or the value they received, but that's okay. You know, if you're not doing it for yourself, you don't really care to hear everything that happens, but you do know it's happening somewhere, and that's reassuring. Okay, I'm always looking to adopt more people. Don, you should really see about getting a Bluebell Creamery's endorsement. I guess that's ice cream. Between hats and ice cream, maybe that's everybody's new plan. If you added both of those a little bit more often, maybe things could really move for you. So with that said, we're a little bit over top of hour, but because it's weekend, I'm not as conscientious. Would love to hear what Melissa says in closing from what her first thoughts on plan was to now where we've come full circle.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much to everybody just for the amazing comments. I think these are some of the best comments that I've seen in the weeks that I've done this. And always thanks to Leslie and Don for just creating this great space and this great conversation. I think a lot of things have really stuck in my mind from today. And, you know, one is have a plan. Two is change that plan, be flexible, be able to adjust, be able to pivot. Three is hold yourself accountable. And four is really just get started. Just know that you can do it. The first step is always the most important step. And I think a really important last thought is it doesn't have to be perfect. I think too many of us are perfectionists and we want every single thing to go exactly the way we expect it to, and that's probably never going to happen. And I started with a saying, so I'll end with a saying, which is perfect is the enemy of good. So is it good? Is it getting you somewhere? That's what's important. So thanks everyone so much for the time today.
Well, I think you were just tremendous, and I think the audience makes us all so much better for their questions, for the directions they try to take us to, and this is like catching a wave and just riding it. I actually talked to a gentleman last night. He's done 760 episodes of his show, and when he said, and we had a talk, and he said, "You've done an hour for 365 days. I don't even know if I could do 1 hour." And I said, "Well, we've got the fastest hour on LinkedIn, because as soon as you turn around, especially with other people and other co-hosts, it's actually like a 20-minute show if you divide it by three in a way. And then you're learning as you're teaching or talking in a sense where it makes it even more comfortable." So with that, Leslie.
I'll make this short. First, thank you, Don. Thank you, Melissa. I love spending Saturday with you and everyone in the comments. I can't wait to get there because there really are some amazing comments. I think I'll just end it with 2 points. If you're not great at something, start anyway. Create the plan and just go for it. Imperfect is in, perfect is out. And next, something that I grew up doing, whether you were in a bad mood or a good mood, treat yourself to some ice cream today, wherever you are. We keep on talking about ice cream. I'm like, let's go out for ice cream. So treat yourself to some ice cream. And thank you. And I hope to see you all again soon, but I'll see you in the comments for sure.
Yeah, and I think this is such a great show because, to your point, Melissa, how these are the best comments you've seen since being on the show. If most of these people are here 80-90% of every day, everybody's getting a little bit better. And times 40-50 people, they bring a little bit better to the next show that makes everybody and the show better for it. So when everybody kind of knows the plan and they jump right in because they're comfortable and they know the answers they're going to get could be valuable. I mean, they may be food for our thought, but they may be the foundation of someone's plan, and by our confirming something or adding something to that missing piece, it's like I got the piece. You ever do a jigsaw puzzle and you're missing a piece, and it's like, why did anybody know they put this back in without a piece? So it's the same thing. And I think Melissa makes a wonderful point. The game is between you and yourself. You make the rules, you decide who wins, the prizes, the punishments. And then you got to ask yourself, why aren't I better for me? I think if anything, people are harder on themselves than people around them. People will definitely say things to themselves that they would never say to a person in public or just say to someone. And you ask yourself why. So the plan should be happiness, joy, and reflection and saying, I'm living a proud life. I'm living an important life. And I can't wait for tomorrow to start doing my plan. And my last thing is, there's a saying, start before you're ready, because you're never going to be ready. If you're looking for perfection, if you're looking for every crossed T and dotted I, forget about it. And if whatever your plan is, it shouldn't be everything to you if it doesn't work. You can't put all your eggs in one basket, and you got to have balance with your plan for your relationships, for your own time, for financial reasons, whatever it is, and then fall in love with your plan. Lift it up and pinch yourself to say, wow, I got the plan, and it is going to be so cool, because at the end of the day, your plan should give you the feeling the check's in the mail. If I knew for sure the check's in the mail and it's a good check, I'll start living like it's already in the bank, right? Because I know there's not enough time between that and that I can get in any trouble. So not to end on trouble, but to end on joy. Thank you again. This has been probably one of the best shows, and it's because of all the people involved. And I think for a plan, you need all the people, not to just join in, but to get involved. The deeper, the better, the stronger, the faster. So with that, come back in 23 hours. We'll have Leslie Flowers in public, in person, live, along with Kinga. And that's going to be another great show, because by the time you this wears off, you're right into the next one. You know, it's almost like continuous motion. Thank you all. Bye for now. Have a wonderful day, and take your plan seriously.